Hi, I'm Brett Cenkus, a business attorney and an M&A broker, and today we're talking about layoffs in the context of mergers and acquisitions. Do M&As always result in loss of jobs? Before I get into that, I want to remind you that this video, all my videos, articles, templates, checklists, free legal documents, all of that is available at merger-resources.com. It's always free at all M&A. Check that out. If you want to speak to me, you can book a call at 30.fm/Brett Cenkus. Both of those links are down in the description for this video. Okay, layoffs. Do M&A events always result in layoffs? The answer is no. Okay, we're going to talk about whether or not big M&As usually result in layoffs in just a moment. Let's talk about why they occur in the first instance. So large M&A events are generally driven by some theory about synergies, right? Some way that this deal, right, which is usually at the public company level, they're not cheap. I mean, there's usually a premium paid to the market price for the firm for the company that's being acquired. Why does this make sense? The deal has to be justified. You can't just grow for growth's sake. It's got to create value. And so synergies come in a few different forms, but broadly speaking, there's two types. One is increased revenue, and that comes from things like cross-selling each other's products. Very hard. Historically, those synergies have been very difficult to capture. It's real easy to talk about how the salespeople will go sell, this whole other suite of products, but in reality, getting humans to do different things than they're used to doing is not simple, right? And there's all these costs and things associated with those initiatives that tend to make those synergies tough to capture. And then there's synergies in the form of cutting costs, combining offices, cutting employees, right? So you don't need, two general counsels or chief legal officers. You can just get done with one, right? And even though there's more work, maybe there's a way to sort of overall just cut some jobs. Those are easier to capture, okay? And it's not inevitable, but on large deals, there's going to be overlapping jobs. There's going to be some opportunity for layoffs, which do result can result in cost savings. Okay, that's why this happens. So it absolutely does happen in big M&A events. Is it the norm? Does it always have to happen? Is it just a huge problem with M&A generally? And I think the answer to that is no. There's a study in 2014 that analyzed 3,200 private equity firms, 150,000 buyouts across these 3,200 firms, and it was published by the American Economic Association, I think, and you can find it out there. It's an interesting study. And there's what they come across when you hold constant for these these companies that were bought out compared to the control group. And it's a complex issue, which is not a fancy way of saying they doctored the numbers and messed around with it. Best I can tell, it's a good piece of academic research. But it's when you control for everything and compare the buyouts and the peer groups, the loss of jobs is 1% greater at the buyout firm. So a loss of the first 2 years of 1% more jobs, which, those are jobs, but it's not a huge number. And then when you compare the job creation, so the net job growth at these firms is significantly higher in the buyout firm. So that's, I think, 14% is the number. So in other words, there's job loss, and it's a little more than it would be on average among similarly situated companies, but there's a lot of job creation and growth overall. So the private equity group has been much maligned over the years for just coming in, buying companies, slashing and burning just to make money. And a lot of that is driven from the 1980s when that was the case. There were hostile takeovers. If you've ever seen the movie Wall Street, that was what was going on. Corporate raiders is what they called them, would come in and they would just sell off divisions, chop jobs, and do whatever they could. And all that mattered was short-term profits. That world that's not the norm. I mean, that really doesn't happen at all today. There aren't hostile takeovers. There's all sorts of reasons and mechanisms put in place in corporate governance documents and local laws and things to prevent that kind of activity. But jobs are lost, but not nearly the way it happened in the past, or what the media would have you think. Now, I'm not trying to minimize any job loss, because at the individual level, that's difficult for any individual to lose their job. The AT&T Time Warner deal from 5-6 years ago, something like that, 50,000 jobs were lost roughly. Trying to remember Anheuser-Busch, IMDb Anheuser-Busch, when they bought, I think, S.A.B. Miller, like 500 jobs lost in one town in North Carolina, a town of like 15,000 people. These are significant numbers, absolute and relatively, and there's individuals whose jobs are affected. And that's never easy, and that's friction. So I don't mean to minimize that or act like that's not a bad thing in a vacuum. But overall, the private equity group in particular at M&A events, just generally, the private equity group has been proven, as far as all the data I can see, at job creation and job growth. You've got to remember, too, some of the companies that are being bought are losing jobs already, or they're companies that are inefficient and need to be bought out. They're not always, some of them are distressed deals where people are going to lose their jobs if something isn't done. So again, not trying to make excuses, but rather trying to bring some even balance to what's going on here. And that's not saying anything for the financial metrics, the pure financial metrics about revenue growth and shareholder value and things like that. I mean, the private equity group, the industry in particular, has, best I can tell, proven to be just a positive, overall net positive gain. So they've been really very much beat on, and I think a little unnecessarily and unfairly so. I think the important thing to note is that there is friction in these deals. The capitalist, just the nature of capitalist markets is people do lose their jobs. That's difficult at the individual level, but I certainly don't think that M&A or private equity or any of these things are in themselves, the problem. So I'm interested in what you think. If you've got experience with this, either individually or just if you've got a different take on it, drop a comment down there. I appreciate you listening to me today. Thanks.